Good morning, everyone. Down a little bit. I'm just a little bit shorter than Pete. So my talk title today is You Do You, which is kind of a difference for me because a lot of my talk themes this season, so to speak, have really been on togetherness, and we are on oneness and connection. And the You Do You came to me because I was feeling a little flustered with people. And so I'll talk a little bit more about that. But so how many of you are familiar with the phrase You Do You? Anyone heard that?
Yeah.
Right? It has a lot of connotations to it. Does it not? Right? So in some instances, it's meant positively as encouragement. It can be a statement meant to support others to be their true to themselves. You know, kind of like you do you. You go, girl. Shine your light. Be your unique expression that you are. And then other times it can be kind of a reprimand. It can be like, mind your own business. Stay in your own lane. And yeah, I can see the benefits of both of that, right? I can see both sides of that and how they can both be beneficial to us. But before I do that, I want to start with a Bible story that I'm sure that many of you are familiar with, that I think kind of demonstrates in Jesus' own way, you do you. So remember in Unity that we look at the Bible both metaphysically and myetically. And actually, even with our metaphysically, we myetically interpret that. And myetics is basically how is this story my story? How does this story relevant in my own life? And what's awesome about that as a tool is that it can be used in both Bible stories, but also non-Bible stories. It's like, how is the story my story? I babysit a lot for my nephew who watches the same episodes of different children's program over and over again. And I'm like, every time I do, I'm like, oh, I guess I needed that lesson today. So the story I want to bring to mind today, the Bible story, is from John 8:1-11. It's the woman that's caught in adultery. So Jesus returned to the Mount Olives, but early the next morning he was back at the temple, and a crowd soon gathered, and he sat down and he taught them. And as he was speaking, the teachers of religious law and the Pharisees brought a woman who had been caught in the act of adultery, and they put her in front of the crowd. They said, "Teacher," they said to Jesus, "this woman was caught in the act of adultery. The law of Moses says to stone her. What do you say?" They were trying to trap him into saying something that they could use against him, but Jesus stooped down and wrote in the dust with his finger. I was going to demonstrate that, but I realized that Jesus was 33 and I'm not. So imagine that he's stooping down and he's writing in the sand. He's doodling in the sand. And they kept demanding an answer from him. So he stood up and he said, "All right, but let the one who has never sinned throw the first stone." And then he stooped back down again and he continued writing in the dust. And when the accusers heard this, and I think there was something to that, because Jesus was definitely a master, right? Because he took the time to doodle in the sand to give people enough time to reflect and to pause. Because when the accusers heard this, they slipped away one by one, beginning with the oldest, until only Jesus was left in the middle of the crowd with the woman. And when Jesus stood up again and said to the woman, "Where are your accusers? Didn't even one of them condemn you?" She said, "No, Lord." And Jesus said, "Neither do I. Go and sin no more." So can you see that both connotations are at work in this story? Can you see how both are almost a sacred invitation of you do you? You know, we all have the ability to reflect. We all have the availability to turn within, to recognize first our own divine nature. And then by recognizing it in ourselves first, we can then turn around and recognize it in those around us. So for me, if Jesus was here today, he'd be like, you do you. And you be free to be whoever you want to be and go in peace. You know, because sin in unity is just simply missing the mark. And we all do that from time to time, do we not? Anyone here never missed the mark? Never? Yeah. See? So why? Why do I think, usually when I talk, I always like to, what, why, and how, like, why is it relevant? So sometimes we get so obsessed with what's going on in the outer world and what others are doing or not doing, that it becomes a distraction from doing our own inner work or paying attention to what our own actions or inactions are creating. And that's where I was. People were really getting on my nerves. And then I realized, and I could feel that, anyone get the million monkeys going, yammy, 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 yammy? I had opinions. Anyone ever have opinions? I think you had some opinions when you were sitting there in the hospital waiting.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we all have that. We all have opinions sometimes. And I wasn't really liking that, because I know enough to know that when I'm in a place of opinion, that's usually my ego. When I have opinion, when I know something, when I have a knowing, I feel it in my toes, and I feel it in my belly, and I feel it in my heart. And it's so much deeper and more connected and grounded than when I have an opinion. We've all heard the saying that the grass is greener on the other side of the street, but truth be told, there's so much more to it than that. It's greenest where it's watered and well cared for. Jesus states it this way in Matthew 7, 3-5. Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? You hypocrite. First, take the plank out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to remove the speck from your brother's eye. Jesus was saying, you do you. Take care of yourself. Think of your own growth. Now, this is not at all about being apathetic or narcissistic or turning away from injustice. It's about taking personal responsibility for what we're creating first as conscious creators, right? That's our unity principle right there, right? Principle number 3, I create based on my thoughts and my words and my actions. Reverend Jim Blake, the CEO of Unity Headquarters, said, "We can restore a sense of wonder within every circumstance. We can release our preconceived notions about people, places, and outcomes, and approach each experience with a mindset of openness to what we might see, learn, or hear or experience that is new or different. When we live, when we live life from a place of preconception, we are closed to the subtle possibilities of seeing things from a new and different perspective. Let us make room in our lives for a sense of wonder and interest without self-made limitations on what we might see, hear, experience, or learn. It is from this space that we may experience the depth and the richness of each unique experience along our journey." And so it is. If there's a menu for life, doesn't that sound like a better menu to be ordering from? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Myrna Fillmore, co-founder of Unity, said, "Remember this. Whatever you have done, whatever you contemplate, you are learning lessons, growing and going forward to a day of light, joy, and freedom." And that's why you should do you. So how? And this quote is a tribute to Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor. He said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." Let me say that again because it's an important one. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is the power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. We can notice, like I was talking about myself earlier, we can notice when we're being reactive or response able. When we're sitting in traffic and we want to give suggestions to the person that's in front of us. Anyone ever done that? Or it's just me? We can take a moment to take a breather. There are a few things other than a medical emergency or a fire that require immediate response from us. I learned this the other day in a clip that I saw online from a talk given by Reverend Michael Gott from the Unity of Houston, and it was PAUSE. I love acronyms. Why I love them so much is because I love tools that when I'm sitting in traffic, I can call upon quickly and easily. So the new acronym is PAUSE, PAUSE, which stands for Perhaps an Unforeseen Solution Exists. Isn't that awesome? Perhaps an unforeseen solution exists. Because sometimes when we feel limited or circumstances aren't to our liking, we get stuck, right? And isn't it good to have something that we can call on? So, perhaps. Because a lot of times, things turn out better than I thought they would. Not always the way I thought they would, but better. Reverend Eric Butterworth once wrote, "The important key to effective living then is not to set things right, but to see them rightly." This is where our regular spiritual practices of affirmative prayer and meditation can support us. Forgiveness work towards ourselves and others. we can ask ourselves, are we here? Are we listening to learn, or are we listening to win? And that's when we can use our power of understanding like a verb. We can choose to stay open and hopeful and loving. And I'm going to read, this is from one of you, I don't even know if I got this here or another part of my journey, but it's it's 30 Days of Living with Intention. It says, today I am. Yeah. This day, and I wanted something to bring, another story to bring to my talk. And I love going to things and opening it up and blindly and see what I get. And this was actually written by a friend of mine, Trish Yancey. She's a licensed teacher, and she's also the spiritual leader of Unity of Sebring in Florida. This is, today I am hopeful. Well, one of the greatest gifts we receive in walking the path of practical spirituality is also one of the most challenging aspects, the knowledge that our life is created from the inside out by the thoughts we empower and the core beliefs we hold. Our most deepest held beliefs determine what we give power to in the choices that we make, which in turn create the tone and the timbre of our existence. Everything that comes our way will prove to us how terrific or terrible the world is, which will be a wonderful opportunity or a terrifying responsibility, depending on our view. So what can we do? We can empower ourselves to consciously create or change our life, one centered, purposeful choice at a time. So today, I am hopeful. It's not just an affirmation, not simply pretty words. It is my declaration on an energetic level, because the universe doesn't speak English, it speaks energy. I challenge myself to be hope today, to show up in a positive and encouraging ways, envisioning excellent outcomes wherever I go, in whatever situation I find myself. So you to you, regardless of how you view the phrase, can serve as a sacred invitation to celebrate our uniqueness while honoring the divine in us all. And as the song that we started with today, love is always and is still the answer. Namaste. So now we'll take this into a time of meditation. I'm just going to take a sip of water. So I invite you to get into a comfortable position. Allow your hands to rest gently on your lap or by your side, whatever feels right. Softly close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Really fill your lungs with air. Exhale slowly. Letting whatever today's tension or concerns melt away. Begin to tune into the natural rhythm of your breath. In and out. In and out. Notice how Each inhale brings fresh energy, and each exhale releases what no longer serves you. With every breath, let yourself become more present, more at peace in this moment. Now bring your awareness to your body. Notice any places of tightness or discomfort, and send a gentle breath to these areas, inviting them to soften. Give yourself permission to let go of any expectations or judgments. Just for these next few minutes, this is your time. In your mind eyes, using your spiritual power of imagination, imagine yourself in a safe, open space. A place where you feel completely free to be yourself. No pressure, no opinions, no comparisons. Here in the space you are seen, valued, and celebrated exactly as you are. And as you rest in this space, repeat quietly to yourself, I am enough. I honor my path. I trust who I am. I am enough. I honor my path. I trust who I am. Notice any thoughts about how you should be and what others might think. Greet these thoughts with kindness, and then let them drift away like clouds in a blue sky. Bring your attention to your heart. Visualize a warm, gentle light radiating from within, shining outward. This is your essence, your unique spirit. With each breath, this light grows a little brighter, filling you with confidence and acceptance. Feel the freedom of letting go of comparison. Envision yourself moving through life with authenticity, making choices that feel right for you, expressing your true self without hesitation. If feelings of doubt arise, acknowledge them and breathe love into these spaces. Remember, there is no one else in the world quite like you. Your voice, your dreams, your presence matter deeply. Allow the sense of self-honor to settle into your body. Feel the peace and the strength that comes from embracing your individuality. Then when you are ready, Gently bring your awareness back to your breath. Notice the rise and the fall, the soothing rhythm. Begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Feel your body supported and grounded. Then when you feel complete, you can open your eyes and carry this sense of authenticity and acceptance with you as you return to your day. Remember, you do you, and that is a gift to the world. Take one final deep breath in and exhale, releasing any past traces of self-doubt. You're exactly as you should be. So it is. Big stretch. So it is.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the meditation, Amy.